Oh,
reading
Valerie.
tonight we are reading The Elephant Man by Bernard Pomerance. Playing John Merrick.
Bain.
Playing Fredrick Treves.
David Mackler.
Playing Mrs. Kendal and the Countess.
Liz Bove.
Playing Carr, Gomm and the Conductor.
Marty Goldberg.
Playing Ross and Porter.
Richard Thompson.
Playing the Bishop and the London Policeman.
Michael Janove.
Playing Lord John and the Fairgrounds man.
Kane.
Playing Snork and the Belgian Policeman.
Stephen Ackerman.
Playing Princess Alexandra, the Duchess, Miss Sandwich, and Pinhead.
Valerie O'Hara.
Act 1, Scene 1. He will have 100 guinea fees before he's 40. The London Hospital, Whitechapel Road, enter Gomm, enter Treves.
Mr. Carr Gomm, Fredrick Treves, your new lecturer in anatomy.
Age 31, books on scrofula and applied surgical anatomy. I'm happy to see you rising, Mr. Treves. I like to see merit credited, and your accomplishment and skill all do you credit. Ignore the squalor of Whitechapel, the general dinginess and neglect and poverty without, and you will find a continual medical regis in the London Hospital. We study and treat the widest range of diseases and disorders, and are certainly the greatest institution of our kind in the world. The Empire provides unparalleled opportunities for your studies, as places cruel to life are the most revealing scientifically. Add to your reputation by going further, and that'll satisfy. You've bought a house?
On Wimpole Street.
Good. Keep at it, Treves. You'll have an FRS and 100 guinea fees before you're 40, and you'll find it is an excellent consolation prize.
Consolation? I don't know what you mean.
I know you don't. You will.
A happy childhood in Dorset, a scientist in an age of science, in an English age, an Englishman, a teacher and a doctor at the London. 2 books published by my 31st year, a house, a wife who loves me, and, my God, 100 guinea fees before I'm 40. A consolation for what? As of the year AD 1884, I, Freddie Treves, have excessive blessings, or so it seems to me.
Blackout. Scene 2. Art is as nothing to nature. Whitechapel Road, a storefront. A large advertisement of a creature with an elephant's head. Ross, his manager.
Tuppence only step in and see. This side of the grave, John Merrick has no hope nor expectation of relief. In every sense, his situation is desperate. His physical agony is exceeded only by his mental anguish. A despised creature without consolation. Tuppence only step in and see. To live with his physical hideousness, incapacitating deformities, and unremitting pain is trial enough. But to be exposed to the cruelly lacerating expressions of awe and disgust by all who behold him is even more difficult to bear. Tuppence only step in and see, for in order to survive, Merrick forces himself to suffer these humiliations. I repeat, humiliations in order to survive. Thus he exposes himself to crowds who pay to gape and yawp at this freak of nature, the Elephant Man.
This sign's absurd. Half elephant, half man is not possible. Is he foreign?
Right, from Leicester, but nothing to fear.
I'm at the London across the road. I would be curious to see him if there's some genuine disorder. If he is a mass of papier-mâché and paint, however.
They pay me nothing. Enter, sir. Merrick, stand up, you bloody donkey. Up, up.
I must examine him further at the hospital. Here is my card. I'm Treves. I will have a cab pick him up and return him. My card will gain him admittance.
5 bob, he's yours for a day.
I wish to examine him in the interests of science, you see.
Sir, I'm Ross. I look out for him. Get him his living. Found him in Lancaster workhouse. His own ma put him there at the age of 3. Couldn't bear the sight. Well, you can see why. He and I, are in business. He is our capital, see? Go to a bank, go anywhere. Want to borrow capital? You pay interest. Scientists even. He's good value, though. You won't find another like him.
Fair enough.
Right? Out here, Merrick, you bloody donkey, out!
Lights fade. Scene 3. Who has seen the like of this? Treves lectures. Merrick controls himself to approximate projected slides of the real Merrick.
The most striking feature about him was his enormous head. Its circumference was about that of a man's waist. From the brow, there projected a huge bony mass like a loaf, while from the back of his head hung a bag of spongy, fungus-looking skin, the surface of which was comparable to brown cauliflower. On the top of the skull, there were a few long, lank hairs. The osseous growth on the forehead at this stage, about the size of a tangerine, almost occluded one eye. From the upper jaw, there projected another mass of bone. It protruded from the mouth like a pink stump, turning the upper lip inside out and making the mouth a wide, slobbering aperture. The nose was merely a lump of flesh, only recognizable as a nose from its position. The deformities rendered the face utterly incapable of the expression of any emotion whatsoever. The back was horrible because from it hung, as far down as the middle of the thigh, huge sack-like masses of flesh, covered by the same loathsome cauliflower stain. The right arm was of enormous size and shapeless. It suggested, but was not, elephantiasis, and was overgrown also with pedant masses of the same cauliflower-like skin. The right hand was large and clumsy, a fin or paddle rather than a hand. No distinction existed between the palm and back. The thumb was like a radish, the fingers like thick tuberous roots. As a limb, it was useless. The other arm was remarkable by contrast. It was not only normal, but was moreover a delicately shaped limb covered with a fine skin and provided with a beautiful hand which any woman might have envied. From the chest hung a bag of the same repulsive flesh. It was like a dewlap suspended from the neck of a lizard. The lower limbs had the characters of the deformed arm. They were unwieldy, dropsical looking, and grossly misshapen. There arose from the fungus skin growths of very sickening stench, which was hard to tolerate. To add a further burden to his trouble, the wretched man, when a boy, developed hip disease, which left him permanently lame, so that he could only walk with a stick. Please. He was thus denied all means of escape from his tormentors.
Mr. Treves, you have shown a profound and unknown disorder to us. You have said when he leaves here it is for his exhibition again. I do not think it ought to be permitted. It is a disgrace. I think a pity and a disgrace. It is an indecency, in fact. It may be a danger in ways we do not know. Something ought to be done about it.
I am a doctor. What would you have me do?
Well, I know what to do. I know.
Silence. A policeman enters as the lights fade out. Scene 4. This indecency may not continue. Music, a fair, pinheads huddling together, holding a portrait of Leopold, King of the Congo. Enter man.
Now, my pinheaded darlings, your attention, please. Every freak in Brussels is doing something to celebrate Leopold's 5th year as King of the Congo. Him, our king, our empire. No, don't recite yet, you morons. I'll say when. And when you do, get it right. You don't, it's back to the asylum. You know what that means, don't you? They'll cut your heads. They'll spoon out your little brains and replace them in the docks they nicked them from. Cut you, yeah. Back with customers. Come see the Queen of the Congo.
Cosmos.
Congo, land of darkness. Oh, look at 'em, lad. It's freer on the continent. Loads of indecency here. No one minds. You won't get coppers sent round to roust you like in London. Reckon in Brussels, here's our fortune. You have a little tete-a-tete with this lot while I see the coppers about our license to exhibit. Be right back.
I come from England.
Hello.
At home, they chased us out of London. Police. Someone complains. They beat me. You have no trouble? No? Hello. In Belgium, we make money. I look forward to it. Happiness, I mean. You pay your police? How is it done?
Hello.
We do a show together sometime? Yes. I have saved 48 pounds, 2 shillings, 9 pence, English money. Ross takes care of it.
Hello.
Little vocabulary problem, eh? Poor things. Looks like they put your noses to the grindstone and forgot to take them away.
Yeah, they're coming. Now.
We are the queens of the Congo, the beautiful Belgian Empire. Our niggers are big, our miners are fire. Empire, Congo in power. Civilization's finest hour. Admire, perspire, desire, acquire, or we will set you on fire.
Ah, you cretins, yeah. Sorry, they're not ready yet. Out, please. Get those words right, girls, or you know what?
Don't cry. You sang nicely. Don't cry. Yeah.
I was promised a bomber. I lined a tour up on that.
This is a brutal, indecent, and immoral display. It is a public indecency, and it is forbidden here.
Well, what about them with their perfect co-heads?
They are ours.
Competition's good for business. Where's your spirit of competition?
Right here.
Don't do that. You'll kill them.
Be better off dead, indecent bastard.
Don't cry, girls. Doesn't hurt.
Indecent.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Policemen escort Merrick and Ross out. Forward, blackout, except for spot on Merrick and Ross.
Our said will always be bad memories. Won't it, Ross?
No, I've decided. I'm sending you back, lab. You're a flaw. No, you're a liability. You ain't the money maker I figured, so that's it.
Alone?
Well, here's a few bob. Have a nosh. I'm keeping the rest. Follow my trouble. I deserve it, I reckon. Invested enough with you. Pick up your stink if I stick around. Stink of failure. Stink of lost years. Just stink.
Enter the conductor.
Oi, this is the one.
Yeah, just send them to Liverpool Station safe, will you? Here's for your trouble.
Drugs!
Ooh, what's he say?
Ah, just make sounds. Fella's an imbecile.
Drugs!
No, bon voyage, Johnny. His name is Johnny. He knows his name. That's all, though.
Oh, no, ooh, don't follow him, Johnny. Johnny, come on boat now. Conductor, find Johnny place out of sight. Johnny, don't struggle, Johnny. Johnny, come on.
Drugs! Drugs!
Fade out. Blackout. Scene 5. Police side with imbecile against the crowd. Darkness, uproar, and shouts.
Ball Station.
Enter Merrick, the conductor, and the police.
We're safe in here. I barred the door.
Oh, they wanted to rip him to pieces. I've never seen anything like it. It was like being gored in that bleeding cartoon.
Got somewhere to go in London, lad? Can't stay here.
He's an imbecile. He don't understand.
Got any money?
Drugs!
What's it?
He just makes sounds. Frightened sounds is all he makes. Go through his coat.
Don't let me go through your coat. I'll tone you over to that lot. Oh, I was joking. Don't upset yourself.
Joke! Joke!
Sure, croak, 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 croak.
Jesus.
Got a card here? You, Johnny Merrick? What's this old card here, Johnny? Someone give you a card?
Ooh, what's it say?
Says Mr. Fredrick Treves, lecturer in anatomy, the London Hospital.
Ooh, I'll go see if I can find him. It's not far.
What's he do? Lecture on anatomy? People you think right don't look like that then, do you? Glug, 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 glug.
Jesus. Jesus.
Sure, Treves, 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 Treves.
Blackout. Then lights go up as the conductor leads Treves in.
Hang on. What is going on here? Look at that mob. Have you no sense of decency? I am Fredrick Treves. This is my card.
The poor wretch heard it. Arrived from Austin.
Good Lord, Merrick? John Merrick? What has happened to you?
Help me.
Blackout. Scene 6. Even on the Niger and Ceylon, not this. The London hospital, Merrick into the bathtub, Treves outside, enter Miss Sandwich.
You are Miss Sandwich.
Yes, Sandwich, yes.
You have had experience in missionary hospitals in the Niger.
Oh, yes, and Ceylon.
I may assume you've seen...
The tropics. Oh, those diseases. The many and the awful scourges that our Lord sends. Oh, yes, sir.
I need the help of an experienced nurse, you see.
Oh, someone to bring him food, take care of the room. Oh, yes, I understand. But it is somehow difficult.
Well, I have been let down so far. He really is... That is, the regular sisters, well, it's not part of their job and they will not do it. Be ordinarily kind to Mr. Merrick without, well, panicking. He is quite beyond ugly. You understand that? His appearance has terrified them.
Oh, the photographs show a terrible disease.
It is a disorder, not a disease. It is in no way contagious, though we don't know in fact what it is. I have found, however, that there is a deep superstition in those I've tried. They actually believe he somehow brought it on himself, this thing. And of course, it is not that at all.
Now, I am not one who believes it is ourselves who attain grace or bring chastisement to us, sir.
Miss Sandwich, I am hoping not.
Now, let me put your mind to rest. Care for the help lepers in the East, and you have cared, Mr. Treves, in Africa. I have seen dreadful scourges quite unknown to our more civilized climes. What at home could be worse than a miserable and afflicted rotting black?
I imagine.
Appearances do not daunt me.
It is really that has sent me outside the confines of the London seeking help.
I look unto the hills, whence cometh my help. I understand I will be very satisfactory.
Enter a porter with a tray.
His lunch.
Perhaps you would be so kind as to accompany me this time. I will introduce you.
Oh, allow me to carry the tray.
I will this time. You are ready?
I am.
He is bathing to be rid of his odor. John, this is Miss Sandwich. She...
oh my God! God in heaven!
I am sorry. I thought...
Thank you for saving his lunch this time.
Excuse me.
He exits to Miss Sandwich.
You have let me down, you know. I did everything to warn you, and still you let me down.
Well, you didn't say.
But I did.
You didn't. You said, oh, just words.
But the photographs.
Just pictures. No one will do this. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes. Well, this is not helping him.
Blackout. Scene 7. The English public will pay for him to be like us. The London hospital. Merrick in a bathtub reading. Treves, Bishop, Howe in foreground.
With what fortitude he bears his cross, it is remarkable. He has made the acquaintance of religion and knows sections of the Bible by heart. Once I grasped his speech, it became clear he certainly had religious instruction at one time.
I believe it was in the workhouse, Dr. Howe.
They are awfully good about that sometimes. The Psalms he loves, and the book of Job perplexes him. He says, for I cannot see that a just God must cause suffering, as he puts it, merely then to be merciful. Yet that Christ will save him he does not doubt, so he is not resentful.
Enter Gomm.
Oh, Christ. Be damned if we can.
In any case, Dr. Treves, he has a religious nature. Further instruction will uplift him, and I'd be pleased to provide it. I plan to speak of him from the pulpit this week.
I see your visiting bather has flushed the busy bishop. How far from his cruciform lair?
Speak with Merrick, sir. I have spoken to him of mercy and justice. There's a true Christian in the rough.
Yeah, this makes my news seem banal. Yet, yes, Fredrick, the response to my letter to the Times about Merrick has been staggering. The English public has been so generous that Merrick may be supported for life without a penny spent from hospital funds.
But that is excellent.
God bless the English public.
Especially for not dismembering him at Liverpool Street Station. Freddie, London's no home for incurables. This is quite irregular, but for you, I permit it, though God knows what you'll do.
God does know, sir, and Darwin does not.
He'd better, sir. He deformed him.
I had apprehensions coming here. I found it most fortunate Merrick is in the hands of Dr. Treves, a Christian, sir.
Freddie is a good man and a brilliant doctor, and that is fortunate indeed.
I couldn't have raised the funds, though, Doctor.
Don't let me keep you longer from your duties, Mr. Treves. Yet, Mr. Gomm, consider, is it science, sir, that motivates us when we transport English rule of law to India or Ireland? When good British churchmen leave hearth and home for missionary hardship in Africa, is it science that bears them away? Sir, it is not. It is a Christian duty. It is the obligation to bring our light and benefices to benighted men. That motivates us, even as it motivates thieves towards Merrick, sir, to bring salvation where none is. Gordon was a Christian, sir, and died at Khartoumport, not for science, sir.
You're telling me not for science?
Mr. Treves, I visit Merrick weekly, if I may.
You will be welcome, sir, I am certain.
Good day, sirs.
Well, Jesus, my boy. Now we have the money. What do you plan for Merrick?
Normality as far as is possible.
So he will be like us.
Is something wrong, Mr. Gomm, with us?
Fade out. Scene 8. Mercy and justice elude our minds and actions. Merrick in Bath, Treves, Gomm.
How long is as long as I like?
You may stay for life. The funds exist.
Been reading this about homes for the blind. Wouldn't mind going to one when I have to move.
But you do not have to move, and you're not blind.
I would prefer it when no one stared at me.
No one will bother you here.
Certainly not. I've given instructions.
Porter and Snork peek in.
Well, I tell you.
God almighty. Oh, Mr. Treves, Mr. Gomm.
You were told not to do this. I don't understand. You must not lurk about. Surely you have work?
Yes, sir.
Well, it is infuriating when you are told a thing you must listen. I won't have you gaping in on my patients. Kindly remember that.
It isn't a patient, sir, is he?
Do not let me find you here again.
I didn't know you were here, sir. We'll be off now.
No, Will. Mr. Treves was precisely saying no one would intrude when you intruded.
He is warned now. Merrick does not like it.
He was warned before. On what penalty, Will?
That you'd sack me, sir.
Oh. You are sacked, Will. You, his friend. You work here?
This started last week, sir.
Well, I hope the point is taken now.
Mr. Gomm, I ain't truly sacked, am I?
Will? Yes, truly sacked. You will never be more truly sacked.
No, it's not me. My wife ain't well. My sister has got to take care of our kids and of her. Well...
Think of them first next time.
It is if I interfere with his medicine.
That is exactly what it is. You may go.
Just keeping him to look in on that private, that's all, isn't it?
Snork and Porter exit.
There are priorities, Fredrick. The first is discipline. Smooth is the passage to the tight ship's master. Merrick, you are safe from prying now.
Have we nothing to say, John?
If all that stared at me been sacked, there'd be whole towns out of out of work.
I meant, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
We always do say please and thank you, don't we?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
If we want to properly be like others.
Yes, sir. I want to.
Then it is for our own good, is it not?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Gomm.
Sir, you are welcome.
You are happy here, are you not, John?
Yes.
The baths have rid you of the odor, have they not?
First I had to raise regularly.
And 3 meals a day delivered to your room?
Yes, sir.
This is your promised land, is it not? A roof, food, protection, care, is it not?
Right, Mr. Treves.
I will bet you don't know what to call this.
No, sir. I don't know.
You call it home.
Never had a home before.
You have one now. Say it, John. Home.
Home.
No, really say it. I have a home. This is my... Go on.
I have a home. This is my home. This is my home. I have a home as long as I like.
That is what home is.
That is what is home.
If I abide by the rules, I will be happy.
Yes, sir.
Don't be shy.
If I abide by the rules, I will be happy.
Very good. Why?
Why? What?
Will you be happy?
Because it is my home.
No. Why do rules make you happy?
I don't know.
Of course you do.
No, I really don't.
Why does anything make you happy?
Like what? Like what?
Don't be upset. Rules make us happy because they are for our own good.
Okay.
Don't be shy, John. You can say it.
This is my home.
No, about rules making us happy.
They make us happy because they are for our own good.
Excellent. Now, I am submitting a follow-up paper on you to the London Pathological Society. It would help if you told me what you recall about your first years, John, to fill in the gaps.
To fill in gaps? The workhouse where they put me. They beat you there like a drum. Boom, boom. Scrape the floor white. Shine the pan. Boom, boom. It never ends. The floor is always dirty. The pan is always tarnished. There's nothing you can do about it. You are always attacked anyway. Boom, 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 Will the children go to the workhouse?
What children?
The children. The man, he's sacked.
Of necessity. Will find other employment. You don't want crowds staring at you, do you?
No!
In your own home, you do not have to have crowds staring at you, or anyone, do you? In your home?
No!
Then Mr. Gomm was merciful. You yourself are proof, is it not so? Well, is it not so?
Your mercy is so cruel. What do you have for justice?
I am sorry. It's just the way things are.
Boom, 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 boom.
Fade out. Scene 9. Most important are women. Merrick asleep, head on knees. Treves, Mrs. Kendal, foreground.
You have seen photographs of John Merrick, Mrs. Kendal. You are acquainted with his appearance.
He reminds me of an audience I played Cleopatra for in Brighton once, all huge grim head and grimace and utterly incapable to clap.
Well, my aim is to lead him to as normal a life as possible. His terror of us all comes from having been held at arm's length from society. I am determined this shall end. For example, he loves to meet people and converse. I am determined he shall. For example, he had never seen the inside of any normal home before. I had him to mine. And what a reward, Mrs. Kendal, his astonishment, his joy at the most ordinary things. Most critical, I feel, however, are women. I will explain. They have always shown the greatest fear and loathing of him, while he adores them, of course.
Ah, he is intelligent.
I am convinced that they are the key to retrieving him from his exclusion. Though I must warn you, women are not quite real to him, more creatures of his imagination.
Then he is already like other men, Mr. Treves.
So I thought an actress could help. I mean, unlike most women, you won't give in. You are trained to hide your true feelings and assume others.
You mean, unlike most women, I am famous for it. That is really all.
Well, in any case, if you could enter the room and smile and wish him good morning, and when you leave, shake his hand. The left one is usable and really quite beautiful, and say, I am very pleased to have made your acquaintance, Mr. Merrick.
Shall we try it? Left hand out, please. I am very pleased to have made your acquaintance, Mr. Merrick. I am very pleased to have made your acquaintance, Mr. Merrick. I am very pleased to have made your acquaintance, Mr. Merrick. I am very pleased to have made your acquaintance, Mr. Merrick. Yes, that one.
By God, they are all splendid. Merrick will be so pleased. It will be the day he becomes a man like other men.
Speaking of that, Mr. Treves.
Oh, Fredrick, please.
Freddie, may I commit an indiscretion?
Yes?
I could not but help noticing from the photograph that, well, of the unafflicted parts, how shall I put it?
Oh, I see. I quite understand. No. It is quite normal.
I thought as much.
Medically speaking, you see the papillomatous extrusions which disfigure him seem to correspond quite regularly to the osseous deformities. There is, excuse me, there is a link between the bone disorder and the skin growth, though for the life of me, I have not discovered what it is or why it is. But in any case, this part, it would therefore unlikely to be afflicted because, well, there is no bone in it, none at all.
Well, learn a little every day, don't we?
I am horribly embarrassed.
Are you? Then he must be lonely indeed.
Fade out. Scene 10. When the illusion ends, he must kill himself. Merrick, sketching. Enter Treves and Mrs. Kendal.
He is making sketches for a model of St. Philip's Church. He wants someday to make a model, you see. John, my boy, this is Mrs. Kendal. She would very much like to make your acquaintance.
Good morning, Mr. Merrick.
I will see to a few matters. I will be back soon.
I plan so many things to say. I forget them. You are so beautiful.
How charming, Mr. Merrick.
Well, really, that was what I planned to say. Then I forgot what I planned to say. I couldn't think of anything else. I was so excited.
Real charm is always planned, don't you think?
Well, I do not know why I look like this, Mrs. Kendal. My mother was so beautiful. She was knocked down by an elephant in a circus while she was pregnant. Something must have happened, don't you think?
It may well have.
It may well have, but sometimes I think my head is so big because it is so full of dreams. Because it is. Do you know what happens when dreams cannot get out?
I know.
I don't either. Something must. Well, you are a famous actress.
I am not unknown.
You must display yourself for your living then, like I did.
That is not myself, Mr. Merrick. That is an illusion. This is myself.
This is myself, too.
Fredrick says you like to read. So, books?
I am reading Romeo and Juliet now.
Ah, Juliet. Love stories.
I like love stories. There's two. If I had been Romeo, guess what?
What?
I would not have held the mirror to her breast.
You mean the scene where Juliet appears to be dead, and he holds a mirror to her breath and sees...
Nothing. How does it feel when he kills himself because he just sees nothing?
Well, my experience as Juliet has been, particularly with an actor I will not name, that while I'm laying there dead, and he is lamenting excessively, I get to thinking that if this slab of ham does not part from the hamlock of his life, toot sweet, I am going to scream, pop off the tomb, and plunge a dagger into his scene-stealing heart. Romeos are very undependable.
Because he does not care for Juliet.
Not care.
Does not take her pulse. Does he get a doctor? Does he make sure? No, he kills himself. The illusion fools him because he does not care for her. He only cares about himself. If I had been Romeo, we would have got away.
But then there would be no play, Mr. Merrick.
If he did not love her, why should there be a play? Looking in a mirror and seeing nothing, that is not love. It was all an illusion. When the illusion ended, he had to kill himself.
Why, that is extraordinary.
Before I spoke with people, I did not think of all these things because there was no one to bother to think them for. Now, things just come out of my mouth which are true.
You are famous, John. We are in the papers. Look, they have written up my report to the Pathological Society. Look, it is a kind of apotheosis for you.
Fredrick, I feel Mr. Merrick would benefit by even more company than you provide. In fact, by being acquainted with the best, and they with him. I shall make it my task, if you'll permit. As you know, I am a friend of nearly everyone, and I do pretty well as I please. And what pleases me is this task, I think.
By God, Mrs. Kendal, you are splendid.
Mr. Merrick, I must go now. I should like to return if I may, and so that we may, without delay, teach you about society. I would like to bring my good friend Dorothy, Lady Neville. She would be most pleased if she could meet you. Let me tell her yes? Then until next time, I'm sure your church model will surprise us all. Mr. Merrick, it has been a very great pleasure to make your acquaintance.
John, your hand. She wishes to shake your hand.
Thank you for coming.
But it was my pleasure. Thank you.
What a wonderful success. Do you know he's never shook a woman's hand before?
As the lights fade, Merrick sobs soundlessly, uncontrollably. Scene 11. He does it with just one hand. Music. Merrick working on a model of St. Philip's Church. Enter the Duchess. Outside, Treves ticks off a gift list.
Your Grace.
Oh, how nicely the model is coming along, Mr. Merrick. I've come to say Happy Christmas and all that I hope you will enjoy this ring. And remember,
Your Grace, thank you.
have a friend in me.
Your
I am
Grace.
very pleased to have I'm very pleased to have made your acquaintance.
Enter the Countess.
Please accept these silver-backed brushes and comb for Christmas, Mr. Merrick.
With many thanks, Countess.
Oh, so sorry. I'm very pleased to have made your acquaintance.
Enter Lord John.
There's the silver-tipped walking stick, Merrick. Make you a regular Piccadilly exquisite. Keep up the good work. Self-help is the best help. Example to us all.
Thank you, Lord John.
Very pleased to have made your acquaintance.
Enter Treves and Princess Alexandra.
Her Royal Highness, Princess Alexandra.
The happiest of Christmases, Mr. Merrick.
Her Royal Highness has brought you a signed photograph of herself.
I am honored, Your Royal Highness. It is the treasure of my possessions. I have written to His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, to thank him for the pheasants and woodcock he sent.
You are a credit to Mr. Treves, Mr. Merrick. Mr. Treves, you are a credit to medicine, to England, and to Christendom. I am very pleased to have made your acquaintance.
Princess Treves exit. Enter Mrs.
Good
Kendal.
news, John. Bertie says we may use the royal box whenever I like. Mrs. Keppel says it gives a unique perspective. And for Christmas, ivory-handed razors and a toothbrush.
Enter Treves.
And a cigarette case, my boy, full of cigarettes.
Thank you very, very much.
Look, Freddie, look. The model of St. Philip's.
It is remarkable, I know.
And I do it with just one hand, they all say.
You are an artist, John Merrick, an artist.
I did not begin to build at first, not till I saw what St. Philip's really was. It is not stone and steel and glass. It is an imitation of grace flying up and up from the mud. So I make my imitation of an imitation. But even in that is heaven to me, Mrs. Kendal.
That thought's got a good line, John. Plato believed that this was all a world of illusion, and that artists made illusions of heaven.
You mean we are all just copies of originals?
That's it.
Who made the copies?
God, the demiurge.
He should have used both hands, shouldn't he?
Music puts another piece on St. Philip's as we fade out. Scene 12. Who does he remind you of? Treves and Mrs. Kendal.
Why all those toilet articles? Tell me. He's much too deformed to use any of them.
Props, of course. To make himself, as I make me.
You? You think of yourself.
Well, he is gentle, almost feminine, cheerful, honest, within limits, a serious artist in his way. He's almost like me.
Enter Bishop Howe.
He is religious and devout. He knows salvation must radiate to us or all is lost, which it's certainly not.
Enter Gomm.
He seems practical, like me. He has seen enough of daily evil to be thankful for small goods that come his way. He knows what side his bread is buttered on and counts his blessings for it, like me.
Enter the Duchess.
Ooh. I'm sorry. Well, I can speak with him of anything, for I know he is discreet, like me.
All exit except Treves.
How odd. I think him curious, compassionate, concerned about the world. Well, rather like myself, Fredrick Treves, 1889 AD.
Of course, he is rather odd and hurt and helpless not to show the struggle. And so am I.
Enter Gomm.
Hang on. He knows I use him to raise money for the London. I'm certain. He understands I would be derelict if I didn't. He is wary of any promise, yet he fits in well, like me.
Enter Bishop Howe.
I, as a seminarist, had many of the same doubts. Struggled as he does, and hope they may be overcome.
Enter Princess Alexandra.
When my husband, His Royal Highness Edward, Prince of Wales, asked Mr. Treves to be his personal surgeon, he said, "Dear Freddie, if you can put up with the elephant bloke, you can surely put up with me."
All exit except Treves. Enter Lord John.
See him out of fashion, Freddie, as he sees us. Social context critical. Oh, by the way, ignore the bloody papers. It's all lies.
Merrick visibly worse than 86, 87. That as he rises higher in the constellations of society, he gets visibly more grotesque, is proof definitive he is like me, like his condition, which I make no sense of. I make no sense of mine.
Spot on Merrick, placing another piece on St. Philip's. Fade out. Scene 13. Anxieties of the Swamp. Merrick in spot strains to listen. Treves, Lord John, outside.
But the papers are saying you broke the contracts. They are saying you've lost the money.
Freddie, if I were such a scoundrel, how would I dare face investors like yourself? Broken contract? I never consider them actual contracts. Just preliminary things to get the old deal underway. An actual contract, something between gentlemen. And this attack on me shows they are no gentlemen. Now, I only have to say the company remains a terribly attractive proposition. Don't you think? To recapitalize, if you could spare another,
Enter Gomm.
Mr. Gomm, how good to see you. Just remarking how splendidly Merrick thrives here. Thanks to you and Freddie.
Oh, Lord John, allow me. I must take Fredrick from you. Keep him at work. It's in his contract. Wouldn't want him breaking it. Sort of thing makes the world fly apart, isn't it?
Yes, well, of course. Yes.
Sorry to hear you're so pressed. Expect we'll see less of you around the London now.
Of course. I actually, appointment at the city, Freddie, Mr. Gomm.
He plain fooled me. He was kind to Merrick.
You have risen fast and easily, my boy. You forgot how to protect yourself. Break now.
It does not seem right somehow.
Oh, the man's a moral swamp. Is that not clear? Is he attractive? Decent often is. Friendly? Swindlers can be. Another loan? Not another cent. It may be your money, Freddie, but I will not tolerate laboring like a navy that the London should represent honest, charitable, and compassionate science, and have titled swindlers mucking up the pitch. He has succeeded in destroying himself so rapidly. You ought not doubt an instant it was his real aim all along. He broke the contracts, gambled the money away, lied, and like an infant in his mess, gurgles and wants to do it again. Never mind details. Don't want to know. Break and be glad. Don't hesitate. Today, one man moral swamp. Don't get sucked in.
Enter Mrs. Kendal.
Have you seen the papers?
Yes.
Yes. A great pity. Freddie? Today?
Freddie?
He has used us. I shall be all right. Come. John, I shall not be able to stay this visit. I must, well, unravel a few things. Nurse Ireland and Snork are...
Friendly and respectful Fredrick.
I look in a few days.
Did I do something wrong?
No.
This is a hospital, not a marketplace. Don't forget it, ever. Sorry, not you, me.
Well, shall we weave today? Don't you think weaving might be fun? So many things are fun. Most men really can't enjoy them. They're lost, isn't it? I like little activities which engage me. There's something ancient in it. I don't know. Before all this, would you like to try, John?
Fredrick said I may stay here for life.
And so you shall.
If he is in trouble?
Fredrick is your protector, John.
If he is in trouble?
Who is that? Ah, it is not your mother. She is pretty, isn't she?
Will Fredrick keep his word with me? His contract, Mrs. Kendal, if he is in trouble.
What? Contract? Did you say?
And will you?
I? What? Will I?
Merrick is silent, puts another piece on the model as we fade out. Scene 14. Art is permitted, but nature forbidden. Rain. Merrick working. Mrs. Kendal.
The prince has a mistress. The Irishman had one. Everyone seems to, or a wife. Some have both. I have concluded I need a mistress. It is bad enough not to sleep like others.
Sitting up, you mean? Couldn't be very restful.
I have to. Too heavy to lay down my head. But to sleep alone, that is worst of all.
The artist expresses his love through his works. That is civilization.
Are you very shocked?
Why should I be?
Others would be.
I am not others.
I suppose it is hopeless.
Nothing is hopeless. However, it is unlikely.
I thought you might have a few ideas.
I can guess who has ideas here.
You don't know something I have never even seen. A naked woman.
Oh, surely in all the fairs you worked.
I mean, a real woman.
Is one more real than another?
I mean, like the ones in the theater, the opera.
Well, surely you can't mean they are more real.
In the audience, a woman not worn out early, not deformed by awful life, a lady, someone kept up, respectful of herself. You don't know what fairgrounds are like, Mrs. Kendal.
You mean someone like Princess Alexandra?
Not so old.
Like Dorothy?
She does not look happy, no.
Lady Ellen?
Too thin.
Then who?
Certain women, they have a kind of rightness. They seem to stop at a perfect point.
My dear, she doesn't exist.
That is probably why I never saw her.
What would your friend the bishop Howe say of all this, I wonder?
He says I should put these things out of my mind.
Is that the best he can suggest?
I put them out of my mind. They reappeared. Snap.
What about Fredrick?
He would be appalled if I told him.
I am flattered. Too little trust has maimed my life. But that's another story.
What a rain. Are we going to read this afternoon?
Yes. Some women are lucky to look well. That is all. It is a rather arbitrary gift. It has no really good use, though it has uses, I will say that. Anyway, it does not signify very much.
To me, it does.
Well, you are mistaken.
What are we going to read?
Trust is very important, you know. I trust you.
Thank you very much. I have a book of Thomas Hardy's here. He is a friend of Frederick's. Shall we read that?
Turn around a moment. Don't look.
Is this a game?
I would not call it a game, a surprise.
She begins undressing.
What kind of surprise?
I saw photographs of you before I met you. You didn't know that, did you?
The ones from the first time in 84. No, I didn't.
I felt it was unjust. I don't know why. I cannot say my sense of justice is my most highly developed characteristic. You may turn around now. Well, a little funny, isn't it?
It is the most beautiful sight I have seen ever.
If you tell anyone, I shall not see you again. We shall not read, we shall not talk, we shall do nothing. Wait. There, no illusions. Now, well, what is there to say? I am extremely pleased to have made your acquaintance.
For God's sakes, what is going on here? What is going on?
For a moment, paradise, Freddie.
But have you no sense of decency? Woman, dress yourself quickly. Are you not ashamed? Do you know what you are? Don't you know what is forbidden?
Fade out. Scene 15. Ingratitude. Ross in Merrick's room.
I come actually to ask your forgiveness.
I found a good home, Ross. I forgave you.
I was hoping that we could work out a deal, something new maybe.
No!
See, I was counting on it, that you were kind-hearted, like myself. Some things don't change. Got to put money on the things that don't, I figure. I figure from what I read about you, you don't change. Dukes, ladies coming to see you, ask myself why. Figure it's the same as always was. Make them feel good about themselves by comparison. Them things don't change. There but for the grace of. So I figure you're selling the same service as always. To better clientele. Difference now is you ain't charging for it.
You make me sound like a whore.
You are. I am. They are. Most are. No disgrace, John. Disgrace is to be a stupid whore. Give it for free? Not capitalize on the interest in you. Not to have a manager, then is stupid.
You see this church? I am building it. The people who visit are friends, not clients. I am not a dog walking on its hind legs.
No. I was thinking, charge these people. Pleasure of the Elephant Man's company. Something. Right spirit is everything. Do it in the right spirit. They pay happily. I take 10%. I'd be okay with 10%.
Bad luck made you daft.
I helped you, John. Discovered you. Was that daft? No. Only daftness was being at a gold mine without a shovel, without proper connections, like Treves has. What's daft? Ross sows. Treves harvests. It's not fair, is it, John? When you think about it, I do think about it. Because I'm old. Got something in me throat. You may have noticed. Something in me lungs here, too. Something in my belly, I guess, too. I'm not a heap of health, am I? But I do well with 10%. I don't need more than 10%. 10% give me a future slightly better than a cobblestone. This lot will pay if you charged in the right spirit. I don't ask much.
Here's the cream, Ross. They know it. Man like you try to make them pay, then walk away.
No, I'm talking about doing it in the right spirit.
They are my friends. I'd lose everything for you. Ross, you lived your life. You robbed me of 48 pounds, 9 shillings, tuppence. You left me to die. Be satisfied, Ross. You've had enough. You kept me like an animal in darkness. You come back and want to rob me again. Will you not be satisfied? Now I am a man like others. You want me to return?
Had a woman yet?
Is that what makes a man?
In my time, it'd do for a start.
Not what makes this one. Yet I am like others.
Then I'm condemned. See, I got no energy to try nothing new. I might as well go to the doss house straight. Die there anyway, between filthy doss house rags. Nothing in the belly but acid. I don't like pain, John. The future gives me pain sense. Without a future, 5%. John?
I'm sorry, Ross. It's just the way things are.
By God, then I am lost.
Fade out. Scene 16. No reliable general anesthetic has appeared yet. Treves, reading, makes notes. Merrick works.
Fredrick, do you believe in heaven, hell? What about Christ? What about God? I believe in heaven. The Bible promises in heaven the crooked shall be made straight.
So did the rack, my boy. So do we all.
You don't believe?
I will settle for a reliable general anesthetic at this point. Actually, though, I had a patient once, a woman, operated on her for a woman's thing, used ether to anesthetize. Tricky stuff. Didn't come out of it. Pulse stopped, no vital signs, absolutely moribund. Just a big white dead mackerel. 5 minutes later, she fretted back to existence like a lost explorer with a great scoop of the undiscovered.
She saw heaven?
Well, I quote her. It was neither heavenly nor hellish, rather like perambulating in a London fog. People drifted by, but no one spoke. London, mind you. Hell's probably the provinces. She was shocked it wasn't more exotic, but allowed as she had she stayed and got used to the familiar, so to speak, it did have hints of becoming a kind of bliss. She fled.
If you do not believe, why did you send Mrs. Kendal away?
Don't forget, it saved you once, my interference. You know well enough it was not proper.
How can you tell if you do not believe?
There are still standards we abide by.
They make us happy because they are for our own good.
Well, not always.
Oh.
Look, if you're angry, just say so.
Whose standards are they?
I am not in the mood for this chipping away at the edges, John.
That do not always make us happy because they are not always for our own good.
Everyone's. Well, mine. No, everyone's.
That woman's. That Juliet.
Juliet?
Who died and then came back.
Oh, I see. Yes, her standards too.
So
what?
Did you see her naked?
When I was operating, of course.
Oh.
Oh, what?
Is it okay to see them naked if you cut them up afterwards?
Good Lord. I'm a surgeon. That is science.
She died. Mrs. Kendal didn't.
Well, she came back too.
And Mrs. Kendal didn't, if you mean that.
I'm trying to read about anesthetics. There is simply no comparison.
Oh.
Science is a different thing. This woman came to me to be. I mean, it is not, well, love, you know.
Is that why you're looking for an anesthetic?
It would be a boon to surgery.
Because you don't love them.
Love's got nothing to do with surgery.
Do you lose many patients?
Some.
Oh.
Oh, what? What does it matter? Don't you see? If I love, if any surgeon loves her, or any patient, or not, what does it matter? And what conceivable difference to you?
Because it is your standards we abide by.
For God's sakes, if you are angry, just say it. I won't turn you out. Say it. I am angry. Go on. I am angry. I am angry. I am angry.
I believe in heaven.
And it is not okay if they undress if you cut them up, as you put it. Make me sound like Jack the Ripper.
No, you worry about anesthetics.
Are you having me on?
You are merciful. I myself am proof. Is it not so? Well, is it not so?
Well, about Mrs. Kendal. Perhaps I was wrong. These days, that is, I seem to lose my head. Talking too much on perhaps. I do not know what is in me these days.
Will she come back, Mrs. Kendal?
I will talk to her again.
But will she?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
There are other things involved. That is, other things.
Well, other things. I want to walk now. Think. Other things. Why? Why won't she?
Merrick exits.
Because I don't want her here when you die.
He slumps in his chair. Fade out. Scene 17. Cruelty is as nothing to kindness. Treves is asleep in chair, dreams the following Merrick and Gomm dressed as Ross in foreground.
If he is merely paper mache and paint, a swindler and a fake.
No, a genuine Dorset dreamer in a moral swamp. Look, he has so forgot how to protect himself, he's gone to sleep.
I must examine him. I would not keep him for long, Mr. Gomm.
It would be an inconvenience, Mr. Merrick. He is a mainstay of our institution.
Exactly, that brought him to my attention. I am Merrick. Here is my card. I am with the mutations across the road.
Fredrick, stand up. You must understand, he is very, very valuable. We have invested a great deal in him. He is personal surgeon to the Prince of Wales.
But I only wish to examine him. I had not, of course, dreamed of changing him.
But he is a gentleman and a good man.
Therefore, exemplary for study as a cruel or deviant one would not be.
No, very well. Have him back for breakfast time, or you feed him. Fredrick, stand up. Up, you bloody donkey. Up.
Treves, still asleep, stands up, fade out. Scene 18. We are dealing with an epidemic. Treves asleep, Merrick as lectern.
The most striking feature about him, note, is the terrifyingly normal head. This allowed him to lie down normally and therefore to dream in the exclusive personal manner without the weight of others' dreams accumulating to break his neck. From the brow projected a normal vision of benevolent enlightenment, what we believe to be a kind of self-mesmerized state. The mouth, deformed by satisfaction at being at the hub of the best of existent worlds, was rendered therefore utterly incapable of self-critical speech, thus the ability to change. The heart shows signs of worry at this unchanging yet untenable state. The back was horribly stiff from being kept against a wall to face the discontent of a world ordered for his convenience. The surgeon's hands were well developed and strong, capable of the most delicate carvings up for others' own good. Due also to the normal head, the right arm was of enormous power, but so incapable of the distinction between the assertion of authority and the charitable act of giving that it was often to be found disgustingly beating others for their own good. The left arm was slighter and fairer and may be seen in typical position, hand covering the genitals, which were treated as a sullen colony in constant need of restriction, governance, punishment for their own good. To add a further burden of his trouble, the wretched man, when a boy, developed a disabling spiritual duality, therefore was unable to feel what others feel, nor reach harmony with them. Please, he would thus be denied all means of escape from those he had tormented.
Mr. Merrick, you've shown a profound and unknown disorder to us. You've said that when he leaves here, it is for his prior life again. I do not think it ought to be permitted. It is a disgrace. It is a pity and a disgrace. It is an indecency, in fact. It may be a danger in ways we do not know. Something ought to be done about it.
We hope in 20 years we will understand enough to put an end to this affliction.
20 years? Sir, that is unacceptable.
Had we caught it early, it might have been different, but his condition has already spread both east and west. The truth is, I am afraid we are dealing with an epidemic.
Merrick puts another piece on St. Philip's, the pins exit. Treves starts awake. Fade out. Scene 19. They cannot make out what he is saying. Merrick, Bishop Howe in background. Bishop gestures. Merrick on knees. Treves foreground. Enter Gomm.
Still beavering away for Christ?
Yes.
I got your report. He doesn't know, does he?
The bishop?
I meant Merrick.
No.
I shall be sorry when he dies.
It will not be unexpected anyway.
He brought the hospital quite a lot of good repute. Quite a lot of contributions, too, for that matter. In fact, I like him. Never regretted letting him stay on. Though I didn't imagine he'd last this long.
His heart won't sustain him much longer. It may even give out when he gets off his bloody knees with that bloody man.
What is it, Freddy? What has gone sour for you?
It is the overarch of things, quite inescapable, that as he's achieved greater and greater normality, his conditions edged him closer to the grave. So, a parable of growing up, to become more normal is to die, more accepted to worsen. It's a mockery of everything we live by.
Sorry, Freddy. Didn't catch that one.
Nothing has gone sour. I do not know.
Oh, cheer up, man. You are knighted. Your clients will be kings. Nothing succeeds my boy like success.
Bishop comes from Merrick's room.
I find my sessions with him utterly moving, Mr. Treves. He struggles so, I suggested he might like to be confirmed. He leaped at it like a man lost in the desert to an oasis.
He is very excited to do what others do if he thinks it is what others do.
Do you cast doubt, sir, on his faith?
No, sir, I do not. Yet he makes all of us think he is deeply like ourselves, and yet we're not like each other. I conclude that we have polished him like a mirror and shout hallelujah when he reflects us to the inch. I have grown sorry for it.
I cannot make out what you're saying. Is something troubling you, Mr. Treves?
Corsets. How about corsets? Here is a pamphlet I've written due mostly to the grotesque ailments I've seen caused by corsets. Fashion overrules me, of course. My patients do not unstrap themselves of corsets. Some cannot. You know, I have so little time in the week. I spend Sundays in the poor wards to keep up with work. Work being 20-year-old woman who looked like an abused 50 with worn-outedness. Young men with appalling industrial conditions, I turn out as soon as possible to return to their labors. Happily, most of my patients are not poor. They are middle class. They overeat and drink so grossly they destroy nature in themselves, and all around them so fervidly they will not last. Higher up, sir, above this middle class, I confront these same deformities, bulged out by unlimited resources and by the ruthlessness of privilege into the most scandalous dissipation, yoked to the grossest ignorance and constraint. I counsel against it where I can. I am ignored, of course. Then what, sir, could be troubling me? I am an extremely successful Englishman in a successful and respected England, which informs me daily by the way it lives that it wants to die. I am in despair, in fact. Science, observation, practice, deduction, having led me to these conclusions, can no longer serve as consolation. I apparently see things others don't.
I do wish I understood you better, sir. But as for consolation, there's in Christ's church consolation.
I am sure we were not born for mere consolation.
But look at Mr. Merrick's happy example.
Oh, yes. You'd like my garden, too. My dog, my wife, my daughter, pruned, cropped, pollarded, all somewhat stupefied. Very happy examples, all of them. Well, is it all we know how to finally do with whatever, nature? Is it? Rob it? No, not really, not nature, I mean. Ourselves, really. myself, really. Robbed, that is. You do see, of course, can't figure out, really, what else to do with them. Can we?
It's not exactly clear, sir.
I am an awfully good gardener. Is that clear? By God, I take such good care of anything. Anything. We are convinced. Are you not convinced? Him, I mean, is not very dangerously human? I mean, how could he be after what we've given him? What you like, sir, is that he is so grateful for patrons, so greedy to be patronized, and no demands, no rights, no hopes. Past perverted, present false, future nil. What better could you ask? He puts up with all of it. Of course, I do mean taken when I say given, as in what we have given him. But you knew that, I bet, because I
Name parody. I cannot tell what you are saying.
help me.
The bishop consoles him.
It is done.
He puts the last piece on St. Philip's. Fade out. Scene 20, The Weight of Dreams. Merrick alone, looking at model, enters Snork with lunch.
Lunch, Mr. Merrick. I'll set it up. I'd like a walk after lunch. April's doing wonders for the gods.
A funeral procession passes slowly by.
My mate, Will. His sister died yesterday. 28 she was. Imagine that. Wife was sick. His sister nursed her. Was a real bloom, that girl. Now, wife okay. Sister just up and dies. It's also, what's that word? Forgot it. It means Chauncey. Well, forgot it. Chauncey will do. Have a good lunch.
He exits. Merrick eats a little, breathes on model, polishes it, goes to bed. Arms on knees, head on arms, the position in which he must sleep.
Chauncey.
Enter the Pinhead singing.
We are the queens of the cosmos, beautiful darkness' empire. Darkness, darkness, light's true power. Here is eternity's finest star. Sleep like others, you learn to admire. Be like your mother, be like your sire.
They straighten Merrick out to normal sleep position. His head tilts over too far. His arms fly up, clawing the air. He dies. As the lights fade, Snork enters.
I remember it, Mr. Merrick. The word is arbitrary. Arbitrary. It's also... Oh. Hey. Hey! The elephant man is dead.
Fade out. Scene 21. Final report to the investors. Gomm reading, Treves listening.
To the editor of the Times. Sir, in November 1886, you were kind enough to insert in the Times a letter from me drawing attention to the case of John Merrick. Joseph Merrick.
John Merrick.
Thank you. Well, known as the Elephant Man. It was one of singular and exceptional misfortune, etc., etc., debarred from earning his livelihood in any other way than being exhibited to the gaze of the curious, this having been rightly interfered with by the police, etc., etc., with great difficulty, he succeeded somehow or other in getting to the door of the London hospital, where through the kindness of one of our surgeons, he was sheltered for a time. And then, while deterred by common humanity from evicting him again into the open street, I wrote to you, and from that moment all difficulty vanished. The sympathy of many was aroused, and although no other fitting refuge was offered, a sufficient sum was placed at my disposal, apart from the funds to the hospital, to maintain him for what did not promise to be a prolonged life, as
I forgot. The coroner said it was death by asphyxiation. The weight of the head crushed the windpipe.
well, I go on to say about how he spent his time here, that all attempted to alleviate his misery, that he was visited by the highest in the land, etc., etc., that in general he joined our lives as best he could, and in spite of all this indulgence, he was quiet and unassuming, grateful for all that was done for him, and conformed readily to the restrictions which were necessary. Will that do so far, do you think?
I should think it would.
Wouldn't add anything else, would you?
Well, he was highly intelligent. He had an acute sensibility and, worse for him, a romantic imagination. No, never mind. I'm really not certain of any of it.
I have given these details thinking that those who sent money to use for his support would like to know that their charity was used. Last Friday afternoon, though apparently in his usual health, he quietly passed away in his sleep. I have left in my hands a small balance of the money for his support, and this I now propose, after paying certain gratuities, to hand over to the general funds of the hospital. This course, I believe, will be consonant with the wishes of the contributors. It was the courtesy of the times in inserting my letter in 1886 that procured for this afflicted man a comfortable protection during the last years of a previously wretched existence, and I desire to take this opportunity of thankfully acknowledging it. I am, sir, your obedient servant, F.C. Carr, Gomm, House, Committee Room, London Hospital, 15 April, 1890.
I did think of one small thing.
It's too late, I'm afraid. It is done.
Fade out. End of play.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Great read, guys.
Thank you.
Kevin,
Yes.
on your
Holy
phone, he does
shit,
it on the
Kev.
phone. He phones it in every time.
Wonderful, Kevin, wonderful.
Thank you. Everyone, this was a